Here's a screencast, which is going to be a little bit on Illustrator CC, Adobe Illustrator CC, and it's also going to be on redesigning a logo. And the logo I'm going to redesign is from a charitable game player site, which is called extralife.org. So first, to get familiar with Illustrator, which I have open, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to New, and we want web. We don't want print because we're working on something that's going to go on the web. It's not going to be on print, or it's not going to be video and film. And the size I'm going to take, this might not be perfect, but it'll be good enough because anything I make in this program can be reduced very easily. And I'll call it logo. Do OK. So now let's look at some of these tools. This is your selection tool. This is what you're going to use if you need to move anything around. So it's an important tool. This is also going to be an important tool. It's called the direct selection tool. And this is going to be important, which you'll see later on in the screencast when you're working with the actual outlines. Here's like Photoshop, if you're familiar with Photoshop, the magic wand. That's for selections. All these tools up here are basically selections tools. Here's your lasso tool, if there was something near the lasso, which there isn't. So here's your pen tool. Here's your type tool. Rectangle tool, which we just saw. Rectangle, rounded rectangle. You know, if I pulled a rectangle and we have a white center, I don't want a white center. I just come up to the top and I go black. Now, if this also has an outline, so if I want a different color outline, I just come down here and you can barely see it there. So what else also you can see up here, here's all your fine tuning, is that if you want a bigger outline, it's right there. That's an 8-point. If I was to do a 16-point, big, if that's what I wanted. So same thing you're going to have. Go back up to the selection tool. Same thing you're going to have if you're using the rounded rectangle tool. This is good for like when you're making things like say buttons or whatever. And again, you know, you're up here figuring out what type of a outline you want. So see, now you have a different type of outline there, which you're selecting up here, which really I wouldn't want anyways. But so this is all your tools here. See, you have a star tool. Then you have a line tool over here. And I'm not going to really get into any of these yet. You can kind of figure out what they are yourself. One thing to know about when you're using something like an arc tool, or basically any of these shape tools, is you can use a modifier key. And the modifier key, say it might be your arrow keys or your shift or whatever, and it's going to give it some other type of a feature. Say if I'm doing the arrow key now, see what's happening to this arc. I'm changing the arc here. So that can be handy, you know, if you want something to fit somewhere. Now, one of my favorite tools, and this is really great, works great with logos, is going to be the Pathfinder. What I have is no center here. See, I have no color in the center, so whatever's behind it, you're going to see it. But that's not the way I want it. I want no color on the actual outline, which you do by going like that. If I was to do it there, double click on it again, get red. So when you're using the Pathfinder tool, you can add on to a shape. You can take away from a shape. What you do first is you go to Window, Pathfinder, and you see these icons here. They represent what you can do. When you're using the Pathfinder tool, you're only using 2 objects. If you have 3 objects, it doesn't work, and they both have to be selected. So let me pull another object, ellipse tool. So now I'm going to take that, pull it over, select both of them. So I have 2 objects right here. If I want to make 1 object, now I have 1 object. Now if I want to go here, I see the icon that represents what I want to do. I get that. So I see this one. You get that. So this really works handy. And this gives you, this here you can see you can kind of get that negative positive that you see a lot in logos. And it really, you know, you can really make some great things with type here too, which I'll show you later. But I'm going to get the logo from Extra Life. And I'm trying to make this video screencast short. And I'm going to go up to, I have the logo on my desktop. I'm going to go to Place. Extra Life is right there. So I'm going to put it right up, click, there it is, and it's too big. I have my selection tools selected, and I'm going to hold down Shift so that when I make it smaller, it scales proportionally. I don't get something that's too high or too wide. The proportion's the same as it was when it started. So now I'm going to take this logo and rework it. So what do we have here? We have Extra Life. It almost looks like a Comic Sans typeface because of the rounded edges. It might not be that type of face exactly, but it's close. And the rounded edges kind of give it a balloony type, maybe. Most people are not too fond of Comic Sans, but you never know where something might work. And you have this graphic here as a logo. So when I look at this, the first thing I do is I try to brainstorm. So I'm going to get a piece of paper or do it on the, write out the words on Photoshop or whatever. And I'm going to think of all types of things that would be associated with this Extra Life, which is a website to help kids who are in the hospital. And it's a game site. So, I'm going to be thinking of things that you'd find in a hospital, maybe stethoscope. So the first thing I can see here would be that I really don't even need that E. When they look on the web and they look for the site, they're going to go to extralife.org. That's what it's going to say at the search engines, and that's what the domain's going to say. But when they get to the site itself, to me, I don't need the E. I can just use the X. So just Extra Life. So I see right here, there's almost an X right there. When you're looking at the that crossbar that you'd find on a controller. So what I'd want to do is somehow represent that here. If I can, I don't know how I could. One big thing to start off with is using the type tool here and finding the right font. So I'm going to be looking for an X, and that is positively not the one I want. So to make things easier on myself, I'm going to go up to Window. You can find everything up here. I'm going to go to Type, and I'm going to go to Character. And I'm going to pull that right over here so I can see what type of a typeface I have here. I have Myriad Pro. Let me see. Would that work? No, not even close. I need something that's actually more rounded. Maybe this. If I can find a bold, not condensed. Bold. That's kind of close. And I'm also going to increase the size. So that's close, but it's not really actually that's great, to tell you the truth. Really, if I wanted to I could spend the time looking for the correct font. And once I find it, I'm going to have to somehow tilt it. So this positively is not working. What I could always do is take a rectangle tool, one. This is actually a terrible X. Pull this in a bit with the selection tool. Now remember, we were using the Pathfinder tool to make something, to take two items. Holding down Shift, I select both. Now where's the Pathfinder? Here it is, still here. Bring this over here and make them as one. So now this is, there'd be all kinds of tweaking here. How far can you twist it before it starts losing, being interpreted as an X? So find a font that goes extra. This is just Helvetica. Back up top. 272. No. Now this is not, this isn't a perfect, I'm just going to have to figure out how to work this. The other thing too is that this X, it also looks like, if you've played Tetris, it almost looks like one of the Tetris pieces. So somehow maybe you could, maybe I'll change the color of that to a grayish color. So see that, then it starts to work. Like I'm saying, I don't want to spend a real lot of time and make a real long video here. So there's one, there's one idea. It needs a lot of work, positively. One big gigantic help would just be finding a correct looking X, and it would be finding an X that, if you could find it, had these type of edges, which is going to be a little hard probably to find.